think it's self-explanatory how it goes in, but there it is. So your seat is in for shorter kids. Take the seat out and they can sit against the back. And we'll take the front axle out. We've already figured that that's supposed to be a 3.5 inch bolt. There's the washer. Flip it upside down. We're going to put the axle in place. Here you'll take your tape measure. Just make sure you've got about 2.5 inches sticking out each end. Don't want to tap on the ends because you got to make sure your bearing goes over it. So now we're going to measure in 2 inches. And then our plate, right on the nice mark that I'd given. There it is. Do the same for both sides. Okay, we're going to put the brake together. So this is the brake pedal. It will go up there with some glue. And then we'll do the same for the puck holder. It's got a T-nut in there. Put it on square. When it comes time to assemble the puck on, that machine panhead machine screw goes in there, and then that roll goes into the T-nut that's in there, and you can tighten it up. And that's the friction surface for stopping. We put this short quarter screw through like that. The locking mechanism of the nut, so give it a couple turns, and then I'll show you what that does once we put it in place. The sides are probably on by now, but for purposes of seeing how we hook everything up in the front end, I'm going to leave the sides off just to show how things go. So here's this assembly. You got to kind of wiggle it in here. It is a tight fit. 10-inch wheels and 12-inch wheels. So we'll set this up for a 10-inch wheel. So you'll just work that through and then put your lock nut on the other side. Now it pivots here. Come back up top. This bolt is so that the brake lever can't go over center. So if you apply the brakes, you don't want it to flip right around. That's what that does. And just drill a little hole. Then we take the ovalized screw that's in the kit. And if it's not already spread open, then grip half of it like that. Take something like your crescent wrench here and just spread it. Thread it in. Then take a couple of elastics like that. Kind of work them around a little bit. There you go. So now we're going to hook the steering cables up, and keep in mind the sides are on at this point. So then you can get your turnbuckles, and I usually turn them out. We're not likely going to have to give any away. We're probably going to take up more slack than anything. So one's a left-hand thread and one's right. So there, that's prepared. Then we can hang the S-hook here. Turnbuckle there. We'll put the cable through one side. And then through there. You can take a pair of pliers, and with somebody holding the steering wheel reasonably straight, thank you, Jake, you can just sort of pull tension onto all that. 32 socket will work, and just snug that up. We don't have to come onto it too much yet because we're going to just get both those now. Do that on both sides. So then what we do, is we're just going to take up tension. So we have to hold the cable end as we take up some tension, and we watch our steering wheel. Okay, just leave it, let it. And as our steering wheel starts to turn unlevel, we want to come over to the other side. Okay. See these yellow cable guides? You see they're going to start to conform into shape, right? And then once we get it all reasonably tight, we can remove this screw, which you truthfully don't even really have to put in. If you've got somebody who can hold it, or find another way to hold it straight. But now, and then you can see our steering turns. And then from here, you just fuss with it. If your steering wheel's a little cockeyed when it's going straight, then you got to take up the side you need and let off on the side you want. These cables are going to work in over time, and then you got to keep tightening them here. And then down here, if you run out of turnbuckle adjustment, then you can loosen off your swages, loosen off your turnbuckles, pull a little more through, and then go at it again. Then down here, once you've got everything, you want to even leave it for days and just play with the steering and let it work itself in. And then as it approaches race day, you make your final adjustments on your steering. Then you take some of this wire, and with this wire you want to just work your way through there, and say there, and then down through the S hook, and then twist it. The whole idea is that as this rattles down the road, the turnbuckles are going to want to loosen off. So as long as we got wire going through them and going through parts that don't turn, the S hook won't turn, so it has to go through the S hook, through there, and then up through there. And then just tighten it up, and then that'll stop the turnbuckles from rattling loose. And then there's 2-inch clamps here instead of 3. And they just go, come in a couple inches. Again, it doesn't really matter, and then screw them in place on both sides. And it is offset, right? You can see it's to one side. So we want the slot towards the back. We're going to bring it here, and then just screw it in place. Then you take a 1/4-inch drill bit down through where that hole is, then put your carriage bolt down through, and then on the other side you want a washer and a lock nut, and then you can remove that screw if you want, or just leave it, it doesn't matter. Okay, so for tightening up this carriage bolt, I'll just give you a little tip. I use what I call vice grips, and when your carriage bolt is in like that, you can tap it down a little bit, but then don't tap it all the way, because you want to get your vice grips just to get the corners of the teeth, the jaws, to grip that carriage bolt, and then you can stop it from spinning. Then it'll draw everything into the wood, and then when you're done, you just take your vice grips off